Hi. So it is our official start of class 11 syllabus for the computer science in CBSC. So in our previous video, we discussed about the complete syllabus or for the class 11th and 12th completely. So today we are starting it officially. So let's start with the unit 1. So unit 1 is computer systems and organizations. So when we talk about, let's split this word computer system separate and organization separate. So first let's try to understand what is computer system. So when we talk about computer system or any system, so the components which collectively being used as a complete system means when you are able to use a thing to perform a task. So when all the components collectively comes and works for a single goal, then that is called system. Now the second part is organizations. So organization, your school. Let's take an example of your school. So your school is an organization. So why your school is an organization? Because there are separate entities. There are teachers, there are support staff, there are gardener, there is principal, there is PT teacher. So each and every entity has a separate well defined task and they are going to perform those tasks repetitively, and that's how the school is running a large entity where with 5,000 students or 10,000 students or 200 students 500 students are studying. They are coming daily, they are managing their classes, so there is a complete system that is running. So school is a system and the organization is how that system is, let's say, collectively prepared, or what is the rule that is running that system. So that is called organization, how that system actually is organized. So the first unit is about basic computer organization. So what various components being organized in a computer to make that a computer system. Another thing is mobile system. So the same thing like computer runs, similarly mobile also runs. Mobile have a processor that's do the all the stuff. Mobile has a memory, mobile has a hard disk, that is your memory card, or what you say ROM, that is there. Another thing, a battery is there, that is for the power supply. A network kit is there, a firewall is there, and a Wi-Fi unit is there. So all these collectively units all being organized and making a mobile a complete system. Now the third part is CPU, that is central processing unit. So any device, if we talk about the current architecture, that is von Neumann architecture, in that scenario any system has a single computer processing unit. So all the kind of processing is going to be done by that single unit. That single unit can have multiple cores, so multiple machines, multiple cores, multiple CPUs might be running in that single part, but that unit is a single unit. Another thing is memory. So then one these two things are I should say these two things, not this one, this memory and this hard disk makes creates a lots and lots of confusion. So memory is your RAM. So when we call the memory, so memory is what how computer remember things while processing, because CPU doesn't have that much space that it can handle all the tasks at the single time. So those tasks being queued in a memory sequentially or parallelly or in a graph, whatever the data structure you are using. In that way, those tasks, those parameters, those values, those data types being arranged in memory, and then this memory passes the instruction to CPU. CPU that manages those instructions, compute those instructions, and give back to the user. So this is how memory works. So your RAM, random access memory, is called memory in normal terms. When we come to the hard disk, it is the permanent storage. So think about it, the hard disk like in your personal computer you are playing Counter Strike, or in your mobile you are playing PUBG. So that PUBG is not running all the time. That is not running 24 hours, because for 24 hours that is not in your memory, that is in the permanent storage, where that computer game or that mobile game is residing permanently until you delete that. So once you install that, so that installation means you are downloading the complete binary file, complete executable file of that mobile game. So some developer has written that program, put it that as at a space, you are downloading that computer game or mobile game to your device, and then you are playing. So once when you are playing, in that point of time, that game is going to be lift up from the hard disk, from the permanent storage, and coming to the this memory part. And by using this memory part, the CPU is processing that data, and you are playing with your mobile phone or with your computer. So that how the concept of memory and hard disk actually works. Now come to the part of I/O. So input and output. So output is quite simple. It's my monitor, it's my laptop's screen where we are reading this. So this is the output. So how computer is interfacing with the outside world or the humans is it's the output unit. So it can be your screen, it can be your printer, or some other way, like the speaker. Is also an output. So if some audio is playing, in that case the speaker unit is also an output. Now come to the input part. So input part can be scanner, can be this keyboard, can be this mouse, or can be some IoT device. So if you are, let's say, for weather forecasting, you are continuously capturing the data from the centers, where the forecasting centers, and those sensors are sending that data over the internet, and that data is being used by the system for the weather forecasting. So that's again the IoT units also comes under the input unit. But usually we count keyboard, mouse, scanner as our input unit. No, we don't go beyond that in the usual for the school kind of stuff. And that battery. So to run the machine, so to run any system, whether it's computer system or whether it's mobile, we need power. We need continuous supply of power. That continuous supply of power can be from directly AC control unit, like we plug our computer system in the our home in those 3-pin sockets, or whether it can come from the battery, the storage unit, that how we run our laptop. So laptop has a battery that we charge by using adapter, and that battery is being used by that machine, by that laptop. And the best example is mobile. You just charge your mobile by using that adapter pin, your mobile charger, USB charger, and that power is going to be stored in that battery unit, and that battery unit being used to run that machine, that mobile phone. So these are the basic parts of your computer system or mobile, and these being organized to make this machine running, to make this machine working. And you input that machine process by using CPU and memory, and then give you output. So this is how computer system or your mobile system actually works. Now come to the another part. So now we are coming to the software part. So software part, there are again three types of software. So one is, first we start from system software. So what is system software? So system software is the software that actually make your machine run, that is operating system. So if you are talking about a mobile, in that case it's probably Android. And if you are seeing this video on your machine, on your laptop, so that might be Windows, or that might be Macintosh if you are using Apple laptop. Or if you are using Linux, that so most probably that would be Ubuntu. So this operating system is system software. If you are using Raspberry Pi, if you are a kind of hacker kind of stuff, in that case you might be using Raspbian, or might be using some lower version of Debian software. We can discuss that later in some other lecture. So this is system software. Now come to the utility part. So actually system doesn't require anything more than that kernel or that system software operating system. But uh, a normal user is not that expert level. So some kind of utility that's kind like disk fragmentation, that's like file explorer, can't be done by that user if he don't know programming. So for that thing, some utility software are also available. So like I can show you this stuff. So this is my folder, and these are some videos, these are machine learning videos. So I can see these videos by using this file explorer. So this is a utility software. So file explorer, disk fragmentation, and apart from that, the default that antivirus system is this utility software. Now come to the interesting part which we are waiting since long, and it's the application software. So application software is that software that actually makes the life easier for any user, or actually gives some fun, gives some entertainment to that user. So every software, like it's accounting software, like it's mathematical software, or like it's video games, these all comes under the category of application software, because we are running some application, some user coded stuff. So your PUBG Mobile, your Need for Speed, your Counter Strike, or whatever the mobile game or computer game you are playing or you used to play, is comes under the application software. Another thing that is those accounting software like Tally, that other software which run on machine, are comes under the application software. Come to the memory part. So here we are discussing memory units. So bit is the smallest unit which a programmer considers. So bit is either 0 or 1. Now come to the byte. When we let me take this stuff here. So this stuff can explain you quite easily. So 8 bit is equals to 1 byte. Now go further. So 1000 byte is equals to 1 kilobyte. Is normally like we do the kilometers. Now come to another part. We just discussed kilobyte. Now 1024, yeah, remember it, 1024 kilobyte is equals to 1 megabyte. Now 1024 megabyte is equals to 1 gigabyte, that is GB. So your machine, your computer is not the computer, your mobile phone is having 6 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM. So that GB is 8 GB cross 1024 megabytes. Now come to this part. 1024 gigabytes is equals to 1 terabyte. Now come to this part. 1024 terabyte is equals to 1 petabyte. So this is how memory runs. There are also units beyond this, but for now this stuff is quite uh, sufficient for us. So we will discuss it more in the later, and we will also do some numerical part to convert these to others, let's say megabytes to petabytes to megabytes, and terabytes and all. Now come to the logic part. So logic part, for now we can skip this part, logic part, because it also have some truth tables, some De Morgan's law, circuits. So it requires some kind of presentation stuff or some kind of writing stuff. So I will create the separate notes for this stuff. Right now we are leaving that part. Now come to the number system. Yeah, number system is very important, quite interesting as well. So what number system we use? Yes, we use the number system of base 10. So why base 10? What is the meaning of base? So the total different kind of numbers that any system have is called the base of that number system. So if we try to find the base of our number system which we use, that is unit, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, lakhs, 10 lakhs, crores, and all. So the base of that number system is 10. Why? Because we just have 10 numbers, 10 different numbers, and by using those 10 different numbers we are making all the counting. So those 10 different numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So our number system is on base 10. So base 2 is 0 and 1, just two numbers. So complete computer system works on this binary. This is 0 and 1. This is base is 2. When we come to 8, so 8 different numbers are there. So those are octal. This is hexadecimal. So for 16 number system, there are 16 different numbers. So 0 to 10, and then some A, B, C, etc. So these are the 16 different numbers, and that comes to the base 16 number system. So we'll discuss it. We will discuss when we come to this chapter. Then we will discuss how to convert the number of from one system to another system. So we'll cover it and do some numerical part as well. Don't worry about this. Now come to the encoding system, encoding schemes. So encoding schemes, many students think that it's out of syllabus, or it's not the stuff, interesting stuff, or they don't going to use this stuff anytime soon in their career. But it's not like that. So let's understand encoding system in the simplest possible language. So like I have a car, and my car's registration number is UP14BL6200. So this is an encoding. So UP stands for what? That is for the state. 14 stands for what? That is for the, yeah, district. That is for Ghaziabad. And finally there is a series, let's say AB, BL, BC, anything, 6200 or something like that. So what that stands for? That stands for a unique number to each vehicle. So this is an encoding for the registration of road transport. So similarly, when we write any language, when we create any word, or uh, in Hindi we create any lipi. So this is lipi for computer. So when we create any lipi for computer, so we do a specific encoding, and that encoding we share those encoding rules with every machine manufacturer. So every machine manufacturer just feed those rules in their system. So anytime that lipi comes to that computer system, so there are already there, the rules are present there, and those rules can interpret that encoding to some meaningful stuff. So this is why this encoding scheme is useful. So there are several encoding schemes, that is ASCII values, UTF-8, UTF-32, again ASCII and Unicode. So these values we are going to briefly discuss as per our syllabus demands, and we will learn more about this thing. But definitely it's quite interesting stuff, and if someone want to do research work in computer science, then this stuff is quite interesting and quite useful as well. So stay with me on this stuff. Now come to the part of compiler and interpreter. So now come to the computer programming. So what is programming? Right till here we are using computer, and all the application, all the software, all the utility, all the stuff is pre-written. We just are using that by simply just clicking, typing some stuff and all. But what if I want to write my own program? I want to program computer as per my requirements. In that case I need a programming language. So that programming language can be compiled or can be interpreted. So when we call this compile, if I write language, some syntax is there. Syntax is rule, syntax is grammar. So you write English, you write Hindi, you write Sanskrit. So there is a separate grammar for each language. So similarly, there is a syntax for every programming language, whether it's Python, it's C language, it's JavaScript, it's Java, it's COBOL, it's Golang, or any language whatsoever. So there is a syntax. That syntax is grammar for that language. So you write that language in by using that specific grammar, but computer doesn't know uh, how to interpret that in the machine language, how to interpret that in a encoding or in a language that computer actually knows, because computer doesn't know every language. As a human I don't know Japanese because I am Indian. I never required the knowledge of Japanese or Chinese or some other language. So that's why until that encoding is available to me, that translator is available to me, I can't understand what is written in the Japanese or Chinese or Russian. So that's how the computer doesn't know. Computer just know a simple language, that is 0 1, that is binary. So we need to convert that into a machine code. So the compiler is that part that actually understand that syntax for that specific language. C compiler is different from the Java compiler. So Java compiler knows about the Java syntax and C compiler knows about the C syntax. So I write a program in C language, and C, by using the C's grammar, by using the C language syntax, I put it that in a .c file. .c is the extension, let's say my first program, or hello world.c. So .c stands for that this file should be compiled by using C compiler. So C compile, once I compile that file, compile mean I make a intermediate file. That file can be understood by the computer. So if a language is creating, just listen these words carefully. These words are going to be used lifelong by you in every interview and whatsoever what you want to do with the language and programming stuff. So if when you compile, when you are converting your program to some meaningful output, so if there is an intermediary file available, and that file is going to be interpreted in the computer's language, in that case that language is compiled language. That language is using compiler, because that is creating, that is compiling your code, creating a intermediary file and then giving the output. So that is compiled language. Interpreted language, you written a single line, the interpreter read that line and interpret that. That's what's your name. So it's the English language syntax, it's the English grammar. I just picked that line, what's your name, आपका नाम क्या है. I have interpreted that into my understandable language, to the Hindi language. So similarly, that picks a single line, that is reading line by line from left to right and picking every single line and interpreting that to the machine readable code. So that's how interpreter works. Now come to the operating system. So we need to skip this because operating system is quite a deep subject, and so right now I just have this. Android is operating system, iOS is an operating system, another one is Windows 10 most probably you might be using, another one is Ubuntu, and another one is Macintosh. So these are the some basic most important operating systems. And for the core part, for the kernel part, for the services which operating system runs, we will discuss in detail when we come to this chapter. Now, concept of cloud computing, SaaS, as PaaS, cloud, public, private, blockchain technology, it requires a lots and lots of stuff. So right now you just need this. SaaS is software as a service, as is infrastructure as a service, and PaaS is platform as a service. For cloud, you are not using your own infrastructure, everything is over internet. You are using those machines by remotely logging into the internet. So that is called cloud. Public and private. Public cloud, when anyone can get access. Private is when you need to use your private key and you have that access on that cloud part. So that is private cloud. And blockchain is a new latest technology. Actually I am working in the blockchain, so I will definitely going to describe it, definitely going to explain it deeply. So this is the unit 1 which we are going to cover in next 1 week. So stay with me. Thank you. Good night.